Let's see how human capital affects our productivity. Human capital is the knowledge and skill workers acquire through education, training, and experience. We say that productivity is higher when the average worker has more human capital of those things such as education, skills, etc., etc. So for you to be productive in solving math problems, it's not necessarily just to have a calculator. It would be good to have some education. So think about somebody who is in the 5th grade trying to solve math problems and somebody who is in 11th grade trying to solve the problem. Through education, we obtain some knowledge, we obtain some skills that allow us to be more productive. So if we increase human capital per worker, we're going to be able to increase productivity. So how can we increase human capital? Well, how government can help. Government can increase productivity by promoting education or by investing in human capital. Of course, ideally, in ideal society, everybody would be motivated themselves to promote education. Unfortunately, we don't live in that ideal society. So not everybody is going to think that, well, if I am more educated, I'm going to be more productive. If I gain some skills, I'm going to be more productive, and as a result, my country is going to be productive. So in this situation, government can help. How do we do that? Well, we see public schools subsidize loans for college, right? So kids don't have to pay to go to public schools. So education in a certain way is provided for free. That was the purpose of increasing human capital. Students receive the loans for subsidized loans for education. Once again, it's not just because government is kind. It's because government is trying to increase productivity of its residents. There's no doubt that education has significant effects, but let's look at it more specifically. In the United States, each year of schooling raises a worker's wage by approximately 8%. So think about this. It doesn't even talk about graduating from college. It's simply a year of school. Each year in school increases your potential wage by 8%. So the more schooling you get, the more income you're going to receive in the future. But we also have to remember that investing in a human capital also involves a trade-off between present and the future. Spending a year in school requires sacrificing a year in wages now in order to have higher wages later. So I know some of you work and go to school at the same time. But for many people, it's not an option. So they give up that income they would receive throughout the 4 years of college and actually go to college instead. So we see once again this trade-off between less money today, more money in the future. If we look at the current population survey conducted by Bureau of Labor Statistics, we can clearly see how the earnings differ for people with different degree. There's no doubt that those that have higher degree are going to make more money. An interesting thing is also to see that the more education you have, the less you have to worry about unemployment rate. So whenever we see unemployment rate right now, that's about 7.6%, that's an average unemployment rate. If we break it down by education level, we see the most unemployment occurs in the area where people without high school diploma looking for jobs, and the least amount of unemployment occurs in the professional and doctoral areas. Even with bachelor's degree, the rate of unemployment as of, I believe this is 2012, was only 4.5%, which is much better than the national average. Technological knowledge is another thing that affects productivity. When we talk about technological knowledge, we talk about society's understanding of the best ways to produce goods and services. So here we're not necessarily talking about human capital. So we're not talking about that obtained knowledge and obtained skills. It's our understanding of how to produce goods and services in the best possible way. So technological progress does not only mean that we have a faster computer, a higher definition TV, or a smaller cell phone. It means that any advance in knowledge that boosts productivity, that allows society to get more output from its resources. It's our know-how, it's our technology, it's our ability to recognize the most efficient ways to produce goods and services. We can also say that technological knowledge or technological progress is pretty much the main reason why productivity and living standards rise over the long run. It's not possible without human capital. So we need to try to improve our human capital and promote technological progress if we want to increase productivity and if we want to improve our standards of living. How do we do that? We can do that with patent laws that promote inventions, that promote those things that allow us to have faster technology. Or we can give tax incentives or directly support private sector research and development. So we can give grants to scientists, or we can give tax breaks to those companies that invest money in research and development, invest money in technological advancement. Other thing that affects productivity, natural resources. When it comes to natural resources, it's not that straightforward. Natural resources are those inputs into production that nature provides, whatever the Mother Earth created. It's the plant mineral deposits. So why is it not that straightforward? Well, some countries are rich because they have abundant natural resources, such as Saudi Arabia has a lot of oil and it's a pretty rich country. So natural resources can help countries achieve higher standard of living. But it's not a necessary input into the productivity. We know that other countries don't have much of the resources but are pretty rich. For example, Japan. Japan doesn't have Japan has very little amount of natural resources, yet it's pretty rich country. Also important to remember that some countries are poor because of their abundant natural resources, such as Sierra Leone and Nigeria. Those countries have plenty of natural resources, but the fight over who owns those natural resources creates disruption in those countries, creates wars, and as a result, those countries get hurt more by those resources than benefit.